Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin is still heading straight towards my bearish price targets on the chart, while Ethereum is potentially forming a new pattern that we need to pay attention to. And on top of that, in less than 24 hours from now, new CPI inflation numbers will be released, which could heavily affect the market in the short term. So I'll be talking about that in just a moment. Definitely stick around. First of all, we need to talk about the new CPI inflation numbers that will be released tomorrow. In fact, these new numbers will be released at exactly 12:30 p.m. in the GMT time zone on the 12th of October, so in less than 24 hours from now. And if you're looking at expectations right now, the majority in the market consensus is expecting 3.6% year-over-year inflation with tomorrow's new numbers. And the trading economics forecast is predicting 3.7% year-over-year inflation. And if you're looking at what we're seeing right now, before the new numbers have been released, right now the inflation rate in the US based on the consumer price index is sitting at 3.7% year-over-year inflation. And so essentially the trading economics forecast is predicting no change in the year-over-year inflation rate in the US, whereas consensus is predicting a very slight drop in inflation. And in case you're new to this channel, basically the market usually prices in what the majority is expecting. So consensus right now, the majority is expecting 3.6%. And so essentially that is what we can expect the market is pricing in. So basically, if we end up getting 3.6% year-over-year inflation with tomorrow's new numbers, then that should be relatively neutral for the markets because the market is already pricing that outcome in. But if we see anything outside of those expectations, that is where we could see some more volatility. And basically, the further away from expectations we get tomorrow, the more volatility we will likely see across the markets. And basically, all you really need to know is if inflation comes in well under expectations, that is bullish for the market. And if inflation comes in above expectations, that should be considered bearish for the markets. And once again, the further away from expectations we get, the more volatile that move should be. So for example, if we see inflation come in underneath 3%, for example, then we would likely see a massive move to the upside in the market, in the crypto market and the stock market, for example. But on the flip side, if we see inflation come in the 4% range or 4.5%, anything crazy like that to the upside, then we should see a massive dump across the markets. And once again, the closer we get to those expectations tomorrow, the more neutral that should be for markets because once again, markets are already pricing in these expectations. And as always, I'll make sure to tweet out the new numbers as soon as they get released tomorrow over on my Twitter. So if you don't follow me over there, make sure you're doing that. The link is down below in the description and in the pinned comment for real-time updates, just like the new inflation numbers getting released tomorrow. But anyway, getting into the Bitcoin part of this video, this is on the daily Bitcoin chart. And right now, as I've recorded this video, the price of Bitcoin is on the edge of a breakdown from this ascending line of support sitting at approximately 27,000. And so obviously, if we break below 27K, below this line of support, that would be a signal in the price action telling us we are leaving this bullish relief, this short-term bullish trend, and potentially going to see a larger pullback, possibly back down towards this area of support, sitting in between around 24.3K to 25.3K. And if you're looking at the daily Bitcoin price oscillators, first of all, the daily Bitcoin MACD is now starting to cross over towards the bearish direction, showing an increase in bearish momentum, but at least for now, this bearish cross has not been confirmed. And if you're looking at the daily Bitcoin RSI, technically speaking, we have not yet broken the higher low, higher high price structure because at least for now, the RSI is still forming higher highs and higher lows. But obviously, if you're looking at this ascending line of support here in the daily Bitcoin RSI, we can see the daily Bitcoin RSI is actually on the edge of a breakdown. In fact, right now, as I've recorded this video, the RSI is attempting a break to the downside below this ascending line of support. And as I've explained almost every day since the beginning of this bullish divergence back down towards 25K, if we start to see a breakdown again in the RSI below this ascending line of support, that would be the first invalidation signal for the bullish divergence, basically telling us the bullish divergence is potentially over. Because obviously over the last few weeks, this bullish divergence has been playing out very well since around 25K all the way until above 28K. But obviously, as with any pattern, a bullish divergence eventually comes to an end, and it's possible this could could be the end if we actually confirm this breakdown in the RSI. And if you want more confirmation, the RSI needs to ideally form lower lows below this previous low in order to fully confirm the invalidation of this bullish divergence. And in that case, if we do end up invalidating the bullish divergence, basically canceling the bullish divergence, that would tell us that we're likely going to see an increase in some more bearish momentum over the coming weeks potentially. And just staying on the daily Bitcoin chart, once again, we still have that significant area of resistance sitting in between around 27.9k to 28.2k. And so just like we've seen in the past, we are seeing yet another major rejection from this significant area of resistance. So obviously at the point where we eventually confirm a breakout above 28.2k, that would be a strong bullish signal on the daily time frame. But obviously as of right now, that is not the case. In fact, what is the case right now is if you zoom into the 6-hour Bitcoin chart, obviously the price of Bitcoin is continuing to play out this symmetrical triangle pattern, breaking to the downside perfectly. And once again, as I've explained over the last 2 days, since all the way back up here, we do have a technical price target to the downside sitting at around 26.4k. And so if you measure out that move from the point of the break to the downside to that price target, that's nearly a 5% move to the downside, or from the current price of Bitcoin as of recording this video to that technical price target, that's around a 2.5% move to the downside still to go. But obviously between the current price of Bitcoin and that technical price target, there can be other levels of short-term support to pay attention to where it's possible the price could bounce at. But I covered all of that in my last video where I talked about my short-term trading strategy, how basically I'm shorting Bitcoin from all the way back up here, and I place a stop loss above the point of invalidation, which by the way, the point of invalidation for the break to the downside is sitting at approximately 27.9k, and I place my take profit for the short position just above the technical price target in case we do not hit the exact technical price target. And I also place some smaller take profits along the way near levels of support in case we bounce at those levels of support, which I also explained in my last video on the channel. And considering the fact that since yesterday, the price of Bitcoin has obviously moved lower, continued with this break to the downside, I have actually moved my stop loss from that point of invalidation into profits. So right now, in the worst case scenario, even if the price reverses right now back to the upside and basically stops me out of the trade, I still walk away with profits because once again, my stop loss is sitting in profits. And if you want a further explanation of this short position and my trading strategy in the short term here with this technical price target to the downside, then simply check out my last video on the channel, which I talked more about that. And if you want to know where I take these short positions and also long positions from time to time, basically where I trade Bitcoin and crypto, I usually trade over at Bybit, which I'll make sure to leave a link to in the description down below and in the pinned comment. But unfortunately, Bybit cannot be accessed in every country in the world. So in some of those restricted places, there is also Bitflex as an alternative crypto exchange if you want to trade these moves in the price of Bitcoin. So definitely check that out in the link down below, in the description down below, and in the pinned comment, and also claim some deposit bonuses with those links. But anyway, taking a look at this 6-hour Bitcoin chart, looking at some short-term levels of support. Right now, as of recording this video, the price of Bitcoin is running into a bit of short-term support around 27.1k. But if we end up seeing a confirmed break below 27.1k, then in that case, we have the 50% retracement level sitting at around 26.7k, acting as support. And below that level, we also have the golden pocket area of support in between around 26.1k to 26.3k. And as for resistance, we do have this level of resistance at around 27.7k approximately. And of course, if we break below 27.1k, that level could become new resistance. And as for support and resistance in the Bitcoin order books, we have a decent amount of buy orders sitting in between around 26.5k to 26.7k, acting as support. And as for resistance, looking at the sell orders, we have a decent amount of sell orders in between around 27.5k to 27.7k, acting as resistance. But anyway, now getting into the Ethereum part of this video, this is on the daily ETH to US dollar chart, and obviously we have further confirmed the break to the downside below this ascending line of support, which was sitting at around 1610. And so like I've said over the last couple of days, this is obviously a bearish signal on the daily time frame, just like the bearish signal we saw close to a week ago now, which I also mentioned on the channel back then, basically the price breaking below this price range right here in between 1620 to 1660. And so we should now expect this previous line of support and this previous area of support to now act as new resistance in case we see a bounce back to the upside. And obviously another bearish signal that has confirmed recently is this bearish cross in the daily Ethereum MACD, which obviously is still the case as of recording this video, which means we currently have more bearish momentum compared to bullish momentum. And as for the daily Ethereum RSI, right now we are potentially forming a new bullish divergence pattern on the daily time frame, because obviously just recently the price of ETH has confirmed new lower lows in the price in the candle closes on the daily time frame, while the RSI, at least as of recording this video, is forming slightly higher lows. And so once again, this is a possible bullish divergence forming, but as of recording this video, this has not yet confirmed, because we have not yet confirmed this higher low in place in the RSI. Because for example, if the price continues this pullback lower, obviously that will drag the RSI lower as well into lower lows. And obviously if we see lower lows in the RSI and lower lows in the price, that is no divergence at all. So what we need to see is a proper confirmed higher low here in the RSI with some sort of bounce in the price action, at least 1 to 2 candle closes confirming in the green on the daily time frame. And if you're zooming into a smaller time frame, looking at the 6-hour chart right now as of recording this video, the price of ETH is finding a bit of short-term resistance around this 78.6% Fibonacci level, which was previous support and is now acting as new resistance, sitting at around 1570 to 1580. But if we end up seeing a confirmed breakout back above 1580, then in that case, we should expect our next short-term resistance to come into play in between around 1605 to 1610. And in a more bullish scenario, the next resistance to the upside is sitting at around 1635 and more significant resistance at around 1660. And as for short-term support, we really just need to pay attention to this previous low, which if you're looking at the candle closes is at around 1550 on the 6-hour chart, or if you're looking at the candle wick, this is sitting at around 1530, which is really our final level of support before much lower prices. But obviously, in terms of flipping much more bullish again, ideally we need to see other bullish signals, like for example, a breakout back above a resistance here on the daily time frame and a new bullish cross in the MACD, for example. But either way, whether the price is bullish, bearish, or chopping around sideways, you can still make money in crypto by watching these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how to make money if the price is bullish or bearish using AI, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that's everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.